When people talk about the largest slum in the world, one name echoes across documentaries, articles, and conversations: Dharavi. For policymakers and urban planners, it represents a crisis of inequality. For filmmakers and photographers, it's a canvas of raw human emotion. For economists, it's a paradox of poverty and productivity. And for Mumbai's elite living just minutes away, it's often just background noise, a place they've learned to ignore. But here's what most people miss. Dharavi is not what you think it is. This isn't just a story about survival against the odds. This is the story of an entirely self-organized city that emerged when the official city said, "No room." A place where informal doesn't mean illegal, and where slum doesn't mean helpless. Today, we're going beyond the surface. We're exploring how Dharavi was born from colonial exclusion, how it functions with its own internal logic, how it feeds, employs, and houses over 1 million people with almost no government assistance, and why this place, this thriving, complicated, resilient ecosystem, continues to exist in the shadow of billion-dollar skyscrapers. The paradox of scale. The phrase largest slum is misleading, and that's where understanding begins. By pure population, areas like Mexico City's Neza-Calco-Itza or Karachi's Orangutown might compete. By land area, Kibera in Nairobi spreads wider. But Dharavi represents something unique. Extreme density meeting. Extreme economic output. We're talking about approximately 1 million people, though some estimates go higher, living in an area roughly 1/3 the size of Central Park. That's about 270,000 people per square kilometer. To visualize that, if Manhattan had Dharavi's density, it would house over 40 million people. But here's what's even more staggering. Within this compressed space operates an informal economy valued between $1 to $2 billion annually. That's not poverty surviving on charity. That's poverty creating value. Dharavi isn't just housing people. It's running factories, export businesses, and supply chains that stretch across the globe. The geographical irony. Now, understand this crucial point. Dharavi isn't hidden on some forgotten periphery. It sits in the dead center of Mumbai's economic geography. To the north, Bandra Kurla Complex, India's Wall Street, where land sells for over $10,000 per square meter. To the south, Lower Parel, with its luxury condos and rooftop pools. To the west, the airport and rising suburbs. To the east, expanding business districts. Dharavi occupies what urban theorists call the Golden Quadrilateral, the most valuable undeveloped land in possibly all of Asia. Estimates suggest redevelopment could yield over $20 billion in real estate value. This creates a daily reality of surreal contrasts. A leather worker earning $5 a day can look up from his stitching and see billion-dollar skyscrapers housing bankers earning $5 an hour. This isn't accidental segregation. This is the physical manifestation of economic history. Historical genesis. Dharavi was never planned. It was tolerated into existence. In the 1880s, this was a swampy archipelago of fishermen's villages called Koliwadas. The British colonial administration deemed it unfit for proper habitation, which ironically made it perfect for industries they wanted out of sight. First came the tanneries, relocated here because leather processing polluted water supplies in British residential areas. Then came the potters from Gujarat, displaced by industrialization in their home regions. Then came the textile workers, the waste pickers, the migrants fleeing famine and partition. These communities did something remarkable. They didn't just find housing, they rebuilt their entire occupational ecosystems. The potters recreated their kilns, the tanners rebuilt their vats, the recyclers established sorting systems. For decades, the government's attitude was essentially, "We won't help you, but we won't stop you either." So residents built without permits, without architects, without engineers. They created what urbanist Robert Neuwirth calls stealth cities, Settlements that grow through incremental, unapproved but highly logical adaptation. The internal city. What looks like chaos from above reveals meticulous organization when you understand the code. Dharavi operates like a medieval city divided by guilds. Kumbharwada is the pottery district. Entire multi-story buildings function as vertical kilns. Families have worked here for generations, their techniques unchanged for centuries. Dharavi Market is the commercial spine. 3-story structures with workshops on ground floors, homes above, and rooftop drying areas. The 13th compound is the recycling epicenter. Here, a sophisticated informal system processes 80% of Mumbai's plastic waste. Workers sort, clean, shred, and pelletize plastic that supplies factories across India. The leather zone produces export-quality goods for European and American brands. A single alley might contain curing, dyeing, cutting, and stitching operations. Muslim Nagar and the Hindu areas show that segregation exists, but commerce crosses boundaries. Different communities maintain distinct culinary, religious, and social spaces while interacting in marketplaces. This specialization creates incredible efficiency, but also vulnerability. If pottery collapses, an entire neighborhood loses its identity. The architecture of adaptation. Let's talk about the most misunderstood aspect, the housing itself. The typical Dharavi home is a 10 by 10 foot room, often housing 5 to 8 family members. But calling it a room misses the innovation. Vertical stacking means during the day, bedding is rolled and suspended from ceilings, freeing floor space for work. Multi-wall functionality transforms walls into storage systems, display areas, and workshop organizers. The rooftop ecosystem turns roofs into sleeping areas during heat waves, drying areas during monsoon, and social spaces year-round. The alley as extension means the narrow lane outside becomes part of the home, cooking space, workshop overflow, children's play area. This isn't haphazard construction. It's what architect Rahul Mehrotra calls kinetic urbanism, architecture that transforms function by time of day, season, and need. The tragedy isn't the ingenuity, it's that this ingenuity was necessary. When your government provides no formal housing, you become an architect by necessity. The infrastructure paradox. Water. Most homes lack direct water connections. Instead, Dharavi has developed what residents call water mathematics. Municipal taps operate on strict schedules: 45 minutes at 6 a.m., 30 minutes at 4 p.m. Every family has developed precise rituals. Who fills which container in what order, how to maximize storage, how to ration for drinking versus washing. An informal economy of water carriers has emerged, buying from legal connections and selling to interior homes at 10 times the price. The result? The poorest pay the most for water proportionally. Sanitation. One toilet often serves 300 people. Morning routines begin at 4 a.m. to beat queues. But here's where innovation appears. Community-managed toilet blocks, often built by NGOs, now offer cleaner facilities for a small fee. Some even generate biogas from waste, creating circular systems. Electricity. A web of unauthorized connections known as tapping creates dangerous but functional networks. Overhead wires form what locals call the jungle, but each wire has an understood owner, purpose, and history. The economic engine. Dharavi's economy operates on 3 levels. Micro, the household workshop. Families function as production units. A father cuts leather, mother stitches, children sort. Daily wages $3 to $8 per person. Meso, the supply chain cluster. Related businesses cluster for efficiency. In the recycling zone, sorters, cleaners, crushers, pelletizers, and transporters operate in symbiotic sequence. Macro, the global connection. Dharavi leather reaches Milan fashion houses. Recycled plastic supplies Gujarat factories. Pottery serves Mumbai's restaurants and temples. This informal system succeeds because it has zero bureaucracy, ultra flexibility, multi-generational skill transfer, and integrated living working. But there's a dark side: no labor rights, environmental contamination, and vulnerability to market shifts. Education and aspiration. The children of Dharavi live in two worlds. By day, they might attend overcrowded municipal schools where 70 students share one teacher. By afternoon, they might work in family workshops sorting plastic. By evening, they might study at NGO-run centers with innovative teaching. Success stories exist but follow patterns. The NGO pathway sees children gain English and digital skills through organizations like Reality Gives. The sports escape has cricket academies producing professional players. The artistic breakout comes from Dharavi's growing music and art scene. The academic exception is the rare student who reaches college and often becomes a community leader. But the statistical reality is harsh. Less than 20% finish high school. Child labor isn't a choice, it's household economics. Health and resilience. The pandemic revealed Dharavi's paradox of vulnerability and resilience. With 80 people sharing one toilet, social distancing was physically impossible. Experts predicted catastrophe. Instead, Dharavi organized from within. Community health workers became local women acting as contact tracers. Door-to-delivery systems ensured food and medicine reached homes through trusted networks. Rooftop isolation spaces were created by families. Information networks spread guidelines through WhatsApp groups faster than official channels. The result? Infection rates lower than Mumbai's wealthy areas. This wasn't luck, it was deep social capital in action. The Redevelopment Battle. For 30 years, governments have tried to redevelop Dharavi. Each plan follows similar logic: clear slums, build high-rises with small apartments for residents, use remaining land for luxury housing and commercial space, and profit. The resistance isn't against development. It's against displacement. Current residents fear the loss of livelihood, community destruction from vertical living, hidden costs like maintenance fees, and gentrification that pushes them to the peripheries. Alternative models exist. In situ upgrading improves infrastructure without displacement. Mixed-use redesign incorporates workspace into new developments. Community land trusts give residents collective ownership. But these require viewing Dharavi not as a problem, but as a partner. The perception gap. Dharavi suffers from what anthropologists call poverty tourism. Outsiders see misery porn for documentary awards, inspirational resilience narratives, and statistical problems to solve. Residents experience complex social bonds, intergenerational memory, cultural traditions, entrepreneurial dreams, and the right to stay put. This gap matters because policy made from outside often fails. The best solutions come from what architect Jagan Shah calls listening to the city's informal intelligence, what Dharavi teaches urban humanity. Dharavi forces uncomfortable questions. What does development really mean? Who has the right to the city? Can informal and formal systems coexist? This isn't just Mumbai's story, it's the story of Lagos favelas, Manila informal settlements, and Paris banlieues. As cities worldwide become unaffordable, Dharavi represents both warning and inspiration. Warning that when cities exclude, people build their own cities anyway. Inspiration that human community can create order from exclusion. Dharavi's future will test Mumbai's soul. Will it be erased and monetized, or upgraded and integrated? The answer won't just define this patch of land. It will define what we believe cities are for. Are they engines of profit, or ecosystems of belonging? Dharavi has been teaching its lessons for a century. The question is, are we finally ready to learn?